Oh boy, Tim's making a smoke again. Can you believe it? In this video, I am going to take this flask, this seemingly innocent flask, and turn it into a concealed smoke-emitting device. And what I'm going to go over first is this composition here. This is from the composite smoke production kit from Firefox FX. That is a pyrotechnic supply company based in Idaho. They are super low-key, super outdated website. It's almost like 1995, circa 1995 HTML. I legit think that they wrote that whole website in HTML. It's very difficult to find stuff and navigate on their website. But the founder of that company, Firefox FX, his name was Gary Purrington, and he was I don't know him, but just from reviewing all of his information and his inventions and the formulas that he's published, I respect him because you can tell that he's a highly intelligent chemist, pyrotechnician. Anyway, this is a moisture-resistant castable resin-bound smoke mixture. I actually have this information packet on a hyperlink to it on my website. And this dry mix here is composed of, I'm going to use this screwdriver as a pointer. And I'm going to zoom in here. All right, so we have 31% ammonium perchlorate, which is a very strong oxidizer. We have 18% zinc oxide. We have 13% hexachloroethane, 11% ammonium chloride. I'm going to go over only the dry ingredients first. So then there's sodium bicarb, which is just baking soda, 4%. Sulfur, 2%. And ferric oxide, which is, red iron oxide, and that is 1%. The iron oxide is a catalyst. It's a very common catalyst in smoke compositions. The wet ingredients, if you will, they're just it's an epoxy and then a P-band polymer. So what I did is I took West System epoxy. You can also use Bondo or any two-part epoxy. And I did 10% by mass of that I mixed that first and then added the 10% by mass of P-band polymer. And then I mixed those up. It is an absolute mess. It is probably the nastiest mix that I've ever worked with. So anyway, it takes about 2 days to cure, but this flask is full to probably this point here. And what I'm going to do is add an ignition source here. This is a time delay. It's a time fuse. So it's a pull string igniter and one of these ignition cups here. Cue commercial. This is inside of this cardboard tube, which is coated in UV resin. And then I also attached a 1/4-inch Chinese time fuse to that. And then I'm going to cross-match American Visco to this fuse. I don't need to prime any components of the fuse because the powder core on this particular type of Chinese time fuse is extremely wide. I mean, look at how big that is. So anyway, it burns pretty aggressively and it has no problem lighting any fuses that are cross-matched. I'm going to tie this into a knot. Sorry, this American Visco fuse has a nitrocellulose lacquer coating on it. All right, so I'm going to embed this knot into the epoxy. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm thinking is I can run this through this time fuse. This time delay might be a bit long. It is. It's too long. No, don't cut it. Always punch it first. Just for the record. Before you cut it to length, punch your holes because you want the powder core to be supported. So in other words, if I cut too close to an end, it'll blast apart the mantle of this time fuse. So, yeah, so maybe let's say here. I'm going to go here. So that's embedded in there pretty good. All right, so I took up some of the slack there. I'm going to cut this. We don't need excess fuse inside of this thing because normally I'd also secure this somehow, but it'll be okay. We don't want excess fuse inside of this container because it is it's just more pressure inside when the fuse ignites. So like for example, fast burning visco could potentially blow this thing apart, just the gas released from that fuse burning. So now I'm going to take this is kind of a new test for me. I'm taking type 1 silicone, as in, oh god, I'm going to throw this and regret it. Oh well, good, I got it. This is type 1, it says right here, the GE silicone. I'm going to just take a little bit of that and a little bit of glycerin. Where did I put that? Straight up glycerin. So I haven't really... I've tested this once, and I tested it just now, and it glycerin as an accelerant to make the silicone cure faster. I'm just going to add a little bit of water just for fun. Stand by. All right, I added a little bit of water there, like a couple drops, and this should accelerate the curing of this silicone. And so it doesn't have... It still maintains its adhesive properties because there's no surfactant in the glycerin. So in other words, when I use dish soap too. There's a trick with dish soap to accelerate the curing of silicone, and it's basically just, the glycerin in the dish soap. But there's also surfactants present in the dish soap which make the silicone not stick to your hands or whatever it is that you're taking a mold of. So anyway, I'm going to take this and use this. So my idea here with the silicone is to use that as an adhesive to secure this igniter because I don't want this thing to burst from pressure. And I also, if there is anything projectile, anything launched from it, at least it's soft and squishy. The other thing is that I'm thinking whatever constricture there is on this exit orifice, in other words, the mouth of this bottle, whatever residual silicone, will just kind of help. It should move. Just like the fart valves on our other devices, which are silicone-based valves too. So what I have here is push this down. You want this down there. basically. I mean, honestly, we could probably just cover this whole little thing up. I'm expecting the igniter to be ejected from this. So once this is cured, we're going to come back and I'm going to secure this. Ain't nobody got time for this. I'm just going to try and wing it while it's wet. Alright, so I'm going to pop out this little plastic piece here and use this as a disc. Let's see, what is this material? It's almost like a super high density foam. I don't think that CA glue is going to adhere to this, but silicone adheres to everything. So I'm going to drill this. Try to thread this through. I might need a needle. Alright, so I'm going to run this through here, and then so what I want to do is have this, pop this as I open it, and I don't want to penetrate through the top because I want this to remain waterproof. So I think that if I tie a figure 8 stopper knot here, so these figure 8 knots act as stoppers because this bite, this loop right here, flattens out as you push something up against it. See, doesn't go too far. Okay, where is this going to land us? Right here. Alright, so if this fails for some reason, it can still be manually pulled. Here's some CA glue on the knot itself. Alright, so we got this guy. Alright, so now I'm going to adhere this guy to this guy. Push this up here. And then use this as a spacer so that these two can cure. Alright, this should be good to go. I'm going to wait for this to cure and then we can go test it. We start out here with a failure of the igniter. Well, not the igniter, but the disc mounted to the cap. That just pops right off. And luckily, I was anticipating that, and there is the ability to, manually override it. The silicone, I think, was a perfect adhesion level. The silicone securing the igniter into the opening, that was okay. One interesting thing about the hexachloroethane zinc space smokes is that they draw water out of the air up to 2.5 times the mass of the smoke composition. That's insane. So it's pulling out water from its environment, and that's contributing to this massive cloud of smoke that you're going to see here. Also, I think as the humidity level increases, the smoke lays lower because it does have more condensed water, so the mass is higher. I've noticed that. I suspected that when I was testing it back in the summer. I was like, it seems like the humidity level plays a role in how high this, floats or sinks. You can see all the paint burned off of that. This composition does burn pretty hot. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. That's like some Night of the Living Dead shit right there. The area covered from 187 grams of that mixture that's just bananas. It's nuts. So as we come out here, you can see how low this smoke is laying. It just rolls out on the ground and just pours over like a blanket. It's nuts. You see that? It's just I've never had it work this well. The conditions were perfect. Yeah, the coverage from that tiny little flask is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, goodbye. I love you.